Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Jewett, and we're starting a new knowledge unit on the early Asian civilizations. Some vocabulary I wanted to talk to you about before we get started is first was the word common, which means occurring, found, or done often. An example could be almost every student in Mr. Davis's class was out sick with a common cold. Also here, it's very sometimes something that occurs often in the picture is rain. So something common could be a rainstorm. Another word that you'll hear while I'm reading today or while we're listening to the story is the word cultivate. Cultivate means to prepare and use land for crops or gardening. If you look at this picture, they are cultivating the land. They're preparing it for crops or gardening. An example sentence would be, every summer, Trayvon and his mother would cultivate tomatoes and cucumbers in their garden. The next word is fertile. Soil or land producing or capable of producing abundant vegetation or crops. The land was fertile. It was able to grow lots of things in it. Because Kiara's farmland was so fertile, she always grew the biggest crops in her county. It means that anything will grow. If you have fertile land, you'll have lots of plants, lots of beautiful gardens if your land is fertile. And one of the places that you're going to hear is the Indus River. And the Indus River is an Asian river that flows in Tibet and flows through northern India and then southwest through Kashmir and Pakistan to the Arabian Sea. And if you look at this river, it is a very large river, and sometimes it could cause wonderful things to happen. It brought wonderful things to the people of that area, but it also could have some problems that it caused. And the very last word that I want to talk about is the word irrigation canals, which is a main waterway that brings irrigation water from a water source to an area to be irrigated or watered. So here is a piping that they've created that will lead it to some area where the plants need extra water. So it's almost like creating a tunnel or a piping that will lead water from place to place so the crops there will get what they need to live in case it's an area that is dry. Before we also start reading, there's some things we needed to talk about. First of all, our title is about early ancient Asian civilizations. And the word ancient means very, very old. Now, I also want you to think about what the word civilization means. A civilization is an advanced or very developed society that often had cities, farming, leaders, writing, or a religion in it. So it had all of those pieces. I'm going to have you look at some of the civilizations. One of the civilizations that we're going to kind of take a look at is the three pyramids. An important job in many ancient cities was farming. Cities often formed around large rivers so that people could farm. The ancient Egyptian civilization in Africa along the Nile River, this is an image of that civilization. And if you look at this, you'll notice that some of the components of this are jobs and also the city. You can see that this is an area where many people lived and that maybe they worked. They were sailors. So one of the jobs was that they sailed, maybe for trading or doing different things like that. One of the first civilizations was also was called Mesopotamia. It developed in an area known as the Middle East. This is a map showing the area in which the Mesopotamian civilization developed between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. Like all ancient civilization, Mesopotamia had a government and laws. And one of the Mesopotamian leaders, King Hammurabi, created a written set of laws known as the Code of Hammurabi, which we will learn about while we're reading through this unit. Here is Machu Picchu today. You'll also be referred to this while we're reading. All civilizations had large cities with a form of government. The Incan civilization, an early American civilization, had a city known as Machu Picchu. This is Machu Picchu today. Early civilizations such as Maya, Aztec, Inca, Egyptian, and Mesopotamian civilizations all had a religion. In all of these civilizations, the people believed in many gods and goddesses. So again, we've talked about how things had jobs in cities were part of a civilization. Religion is part of a civilization, and many of them were formed around rivers. Civilization also had a writing system. This is an image of hieroglyphics used by the people of ancient Egypt. So again, these symbols communicated words to people so that they were able to communicate and speak to each other through the symbols that were formed. And this is cuneiform. This is an example of writing from Mesopotamia known as cuneiform. And that is a writing that they used back then. Next, you're going to be learning about two ancient civilizations, the Indus River Valley Civilization and an ancient Chinese civilization. These civilizations will have many of the key components that we just reviewed. I'm going to have you listen closely to find out where these civilizations developed. Let's first listen to part 1 of the Indus River Valley. You're going to click on the next video to find out more about this civilization.